Too Much Dip podcast time. Once again, it's Dave. I'm going to host, coming to you live from the Washed Media Studios in Austin, Texas. Oh, only about a hop, skip, and a jump from where they were drifting and shutting down the city a couple nights ago. Joining me in studio, somebody who participated in those events, Dylan Shivery.
I did participate. Unfortunately, I lost my Supra in a race. We raced for pinks, and I got outdone by a Civic. So it was fun until I lost the whip.
Dude, that's the worst.
Shorty ran off with the whip. So here I am.
Did it have a spoiler on it?
I took the bus to work today.
Was there a big spoiler on your Supra?
Yeah, it had a spoiler.
I got a spoiler for you. KJ's here.
I'm just happy to know that you two are safe. You weren't one of the one or two human beings that were arrested for reckless driving after that event. But, you know, I'm glad you're with us. Is the lodge okay? Is the people cave in good shape? No collateral damage here?
No, even though we were just but a 2-minute walk away.
Yeah, it's very close to our office. But everyone knows not to mess with the people cave. It's just kind of like
Good.
It's kind of like an unwritten rule of the streets. Like maybe you'll flip over a car, or stomp on the hood of a police vehicle, or
throw
something.
an artillery shell at a officer of the law.
But we are we're for the people here, and everyone knows that. So they just leave this place alone.
Yeah, it's a sanctuary.
As it's been maybe a calendar year, probably a little less than a calendar year since I've been at the People Cave. Do you still have 24/7 security by way of a camper on property?
No, but we did hire an armed guard. He works here 24/7. So don't try anything.
We can't post any videos of him. He's actually still active duty Navy SEAL.
You come around here, you will get clapped.
He's on SEAL Team 15. A lot of people don't know about that one, but I probably shouldn't. Edit that out, Randy. I shouldn't have said anything.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he's giving me the eye. He's very scary. He's got tats and a beard. He's very cool looking.
SEAL Team 15, the one with Andre in it? That's a joke for like 4 people who've seen like one 1990 movie. That wasn't that good.
I got to say, that's not a
moving.
joke for David. But since you went there, go ahead and explain the joke, KJ, because that's always how you know it's a good joke.
Imagine Free Willy was featuring a seal, and there you have Andre.
People forget that J-Bone was in a dolphin's tail.
Ah, it was a dolphin's tail.
Yeah, a dolphin's tail.
Ah,
Spelled like T-A-L-E, though, like a story, not his actual tail.
right.
Yeah.
Could go either way, though. It's marginal at best.
Right.
Hey, what are we doing today? This is going to be a heavy, heavy golf pod. Not only did we have Riviera over the weekend, we're going to jump into full swing, or as I'm calling it, full swing.
We're talking ball golf.
Ball golf, as my neighbor honestly calls it. He's a disc golfer. He feels the need to, let people know which one he's talking about.
Yeah, the
You
one
got a
with the
pretty
ball.
good idea, dude.
Yeah.
But first, KJ, you mentioned something a minute ago off the air.
Okay.
Did you do some ice skating over the weekend?
You know what? Your boy did get to a public park here in Madison in which there was there's a pond. I don't know what you call it. A rink, a pond, rink, whatever, along with like a full blown sledding hill. I didn't do that this weekend, but last week I did embarrass myself on some skates.
Okay.
It was not the representation of somebody who grew up in Arlington, Texas, which features the Parks Mall and notably has a ice rink in it. I was confident in my skill set. My 2.5-year-old outskated me. Embarrassing.
Low center of gravity, though. Like if you're somebody who skis as much as I do, you'll see that there's like little kids that are really, really good. And it's not that they're like more talented or more athletic than me. It's not that at all. It's just that they're so tiny that the center of gravity is low. And if they fall and eat it, doesn't really matter. They're only like 2.5 feet off the ground. Whereas me, I'm flirting with 5'10".
I respect it, but at the end of the day, the pride really had no sense of low center of gravity. But I don't even know why we're discussing this. I want to just skip to the meat of our episode, which is what are we going to do about the super teams that are forming around this league? And by that, at this point, I'm sure you all are aware with Breonna Stewart's decision to sign with the Liberty, Candace Parker earlier in the offseason, decided to go to the Aces. Like, we're all but guaranteed to have a Liberty and Aces final in the WNBA this summer. I, for one, am definitely here for it. I'm just really interested in what, you guys think of, like Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young, just to name a few Aces. But like, what are you guys expecting this season? Do you think the Wings can challenge?
Yeah, for sure. They still got to play the schedule, the games on the schedule. You never know. It's a players' league now, and only time will tell.
Anyways, let's talk All-Star Weekend if we want to start there. Do you want to do that?
We can't talk All-Star Weekend without talking about Post Malone. I mean, the guy just fucking killed it last night. Dylan, you're a big Posty guy. What were your thoughts on that performance? Brought out 21. Go ahead.
Posty's my man. You know that. A big Posty guy. I didn't see it. I didn't catch that last night.
All right. Did you guys catch any of the dunk contest? Because
Yeah.
I think that was the highlight. I don't know how much of the actual All-Star game festivities y'all watched. For me, it started and ended with the dunk contest, although I did catch a number of the pregame activities from yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Let's do the dunk contest real quick.
Mac McClung. What were you guys? What was your knowledge of Mac McClung going into this deal?
Being a fan of a basketball team in the Big 12, I was familiar with Mac McClung because he was the very annoying Red Raider, played for Texas Tech. That's not fair to say he's annoying. He's obviously a decent basketball player, but he was like kind of guy makes a big shot and he's like down the court, pumping up. He's just annoying.
Is it because he's white?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Let me say this though. He was electric in the dunk contest. Those were sick. All right. And the fact that he's white, like it makes it like we aren't supposed to be able to do that kind of stuff. So it's
Who's
like, holy
exactly
shit.
though?
White people.
Oh my God.
It made it more exciting. It's like, oh my God, this guy's not supposed to jump like that, yet he is. It's fucking impressive.
You don't think there's any
Save
white guys
him.
with athleticism?
No, there are. The Mac McClung being one of them.
I mean, there's many white professional athletes.
Right. But like that dude's 6'2".
Okay.
And he's like
That's where we got to start. I
he's
think
head at
like
the
the
rim.
6'2" part.
He's head at the rim. Like shit's impressive.
It was funny because
Am I gonna get canceled this episode?
well, you're trying.
You just don't see that.
There have been white guys who have been in the dunk contest before. I will say.
No, I know.
For me, the most impressive thing wasn't his race. It was actually that he did everything on one take. Each dunk, one try, one dunk.
No misses?
No misses.
That's
None.
sick.
You don't see that
Which-
ever, I feel like. And the fact that the degree of difficulty for each one was, he didn't have any like,
was
okay,
legit.
that's just, I'm throwing up my B game right here just to like get a dunk down and move on.
And throw
Didn't
dunks
happen.
that we hadn't seen before, as far as I know, which is a big part of these. You have to impress the crowd, but you got to do it in a way that no one's done it before. I've never seen those dunks before.
KJ, you ever seen those dunks before?
I have not. However, I don't follow Mac McClung's like social media game as closely. But it did seem based on, Landry's information, our social media guy, huge Texas Tech basketball fan, like led us to believe at least like Mac had been talking about some of the things that he was going to do. So maybe the fans of Mac McClung were more familiar like with what he might do or some of the tricks in his bag. I wasn't. I agree. The most jaw-dropping part of it was A, that he's 6'2", and then B, that clear as day, he is absolutely the right guy for this type of position. Like he was first on the court, I think, that night, like just preparing ahead of time, a student of the dunk contest. It was very clear he respected the performances of everyone else around him. I think last off the court as well, really just worked his butt off all night, and that really, showed. at the
Real
end of
lunch
the day.
pail. Brings his hard hat to work.
It's like having a
Just
second
left it all out
quarterback
on the
on the
court.
field at all times.
Yeah, just a real coach on the basketball court.
Real general.
dunking. Yeah,
Um,
he generals himself. He's
Man, KJ,
commander in
wow.
chief.
Okay, KJ.
I do want to add though that as incredible as it was to see him doing it at 6'2", Jericho Sims, the Knicks player that was also performing,
Former
Texas
Longhorn,
guy.
great. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't know what his wingspan is, but it's got to be over 7 feet. And he kind of went back to the well one too many times of like, I'm going to Vince Carter this, I'm going to dunk and put both arms in the bucket. Like everything he was doing was impressive. I think it was not more impressive, like equally impressive to be doing it at like damn near 6'10", because the only other white dunk contest winner I can think of is Brent Barry. And I think he's fairly tall too. I think he's like 6'8", 6'9" ish as well. So that length stands out. I don't think you see it as much aside from what Gordon or Zach LaVine, the times that they've won. Other than that, you kind of get more two guards, whatever the hell that means, 6'6" guys with just a lot of spring. So I thought we got a good performance all around. Nailing the dunk on the first or second try is absolutely essential.
It's huge for momentum in the show because once you see a guy like toss it up there and he tosses it in the wrong place and you look up and he's been doing it for 45 seconds and then the whole place, the energy sucked out of there once they start missing.
What's the name of the guard? Nate something. He was in a dunk contest.
Nate Robinson?
Nate Robinson. That's when the dunk contest started to lose a lot of its shine when he was in it because like you just described, he tried the same dunk like 15 times in a row and finally as time was running out, had to like switch to plan B and it was just like not a great dunk.
He's a tiny lad.
He's also a notable short fella for an NBA player that is. Also knocked out by
5'10", shorter than Mac McClung. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
Correct.
Embarrassingly so. Also tried out as a punt returner or kick returner for a couple NFL teams.
Yeah.
It's very
he wrote the
random note.
playbook on how not to compete in the dunk contest. That was a poor showing by him.
Yeah, I think
But
I follow enough
I would
Texas
like to.
Tech people
Sorry.
who could tell, that led me to believe like this was going to be Mac McClung's show. Like they've been taught. I've seen that. I followed him in the Big 12 last year. He only played 1 year at Tech, right? Transferred in from Georgetown, but he was good. He was obviously freaky athletic then.
I knew about Mac McClung before he was in college because he was like mixtape kind of guy. Like he was like this dude can absolutely like jump out of the gym, and he was just dunking on other small white guys in whichever league or high school he was. Anyway, shit was impressive. He's been on the scene for a while. Dude can get up.
Yeah. His tiny desk performance with Thundercat is probably one of the all-time greats too.
That's
So just
not him. That's somebody else. That's the late, the great Mac Miller, of course, is the reference here. Unbelievable. A joke for 5 people. Maybe, probably more. There's a lot of fans.
well, the ones who don't get it, that's on them. How about that?
Real ones know. Hey, what was your favorite yam, KJ? Did you have a favorite yam?
I think that I'm going to do it all night now. Mac McClung highlighted that you cannot rely on the tossed alley-oop from another player. There's just too much risk of your dunk not hitting for no fault of your own. Like so much has to go right there. And it's just like, I don't want to see more of those.
Kenyon Martin.
The player from Kenyon Martin was out there with his son. I do not appreciate him going by KJ Martin, but also Kenyon Martin Jr. Like they need to straighten that out and it needs to not be KJ.
Is he Dallas Carter, Lincoln? He's South Oak Cliff. He's a DISD South Dallas guy.
Kenyon Martin is, but I think Junior is from like Cincy or something. I don't know where he set down roots, but he is definitely my top 15. Like I would not
Brian
fuck around
Adams.
with.
Brian Adams, KJ.
For those wondering, Mac McClung's vertical per the measurement at the G League Combine, 43.5 inches. That's
I
up
believe
there.
it.
Okay.
That's up there.
We call that
I
Mad
believe it.
Bunnies.
That's mad noise.
Um,
Dave might surpass that. He's got a combine coming up. We'll see how he competes.
A little sore today. Might have been running some sprints yesterday.
I I'd like to propose this. While I am not for bringing robots into, restaurants and several jobs around the United States, I am pro introduce a robot to do the alley-oops. Like one that will accurately place the ball where it needs to be every single time. Like it would be kind of cool to see that bit.
It's like
but at the same point, like
the golf club manufacturers have like the robot that hits like the club the perfect distance every time. Okay.
Exactly. Like I want to see the ball, be arced from half court, whatever, bounce to that exact point, but it's on the player still to catch it at the right time and finish the dunk. I want to see that madness.
Dylan,
give me that dunk contest in 4 years.
KJ brings up a good point. When do you think the NBA will start to leverage AI tools for the dunk contest? Go ahead.
Oh, Dave, I don't see that being necessary in the NBA in today's climate. Not quite yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as we've learned, that climate can change.
Remember that every time the Waste Management Open comes around, they always play the video of that robot hitting a hole-in-one. You seen that one?
Yeah. It's honestly what I was thinking of when KJ said it. Like they show that video every time. And it's not that, I will say, it's not that crazy. It's not that impressive. Like, okay, yeah, this makes sense that the technology's there.
But like, there's a wind factor. It's the whole thing. Like a lot of things could have gone wrong. Like it still is cool, but like it's a fucking robot. I don't know. Get out of here with that shit.
Yeah. How many wins does that robot have on tour?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wake me when it does it inside of a huge factory in Frisco, Texas. Like after about 47 takes.
Now we're fucking talking.
Then I'll be impressed.
Yes. Dude, perfect. That's the robot. That's the robot saying "dude, perfect." If you couldn't tell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Everything about the All-Star game was terrible. The pregame was awkward and clunky. They were talking over each other. You had reverb in the headphones. And then the draft was awkward because Giannis and LeBron gave Ernie pretty much nothing. And then also Ernie has Kenny, Shaq, and Chuck talking in his ear. It was bad. It's honestly the worst TNT inside the NBA product that I think I've ever seen. And it wasn't really their fault. It's just like, yeah, we're doing a live draft and it's going to go on way too long and it's really awkward. And then the game was terrible. The game was bad. I watched a little bit of it just to see if Luka and Kyrie did anything fun, and they really didn't.
All-Star games across all the major sports are really having identity crises right now. Like, how do we keep people interested in this? Because people are losing interest, it seems like, across the board.
KJ, any solutions?
I did not watch a second of the hockey one, but when they introduced whatever that 3-on-3 tournament, do something like that in basketball. But again, I get it. You don't want people to get hurt. But I think something like that would be a lot more interesting to watch than whatever the hell it was that they put on. There were so many bad decisions with that pregame or like with the pre-draft thing. I was kind of excited to see the draft process play out. I figured it would be rigged after Giannis screwed up and tried to draft Ja Morant during the reserves round. If they would have come out and had LeBron draft Ja first and then force Giannis to quote unquote trade for a couple picks, something like that, like admit that they screwed up, but I didn't like the feeling of, oh, we've already pre-drafted everybody. We're just going to stand here and tell you who they are because Ja Morant got picked in the same exact slot, just in the other round. He just looked at the wrong list. So that was, the producers set them up to fail. Like you could tell Giannis was ready to like give his, draft profile on every single pick he had. And the producers had audio going over his mic saying, we've only got 10 seconds. Like, let's keep it moving. And Ernie's like trying to lead it back to LeBron. Like it was just, the producers really blew this one. The concept was okay at best and the execution was terrible.
Facts. Let's hop over to Full Swing. But before we do, can I just give a shout out to our good friends at Athletic Greens?
Please, Dave.
You're talking to a guy right now that wakes up every morning, rolls out of bed, walks to the kitchen, gets his AG1, mixes a little bit of it in some water, shakes it up, and then just pounds it. That's how I start my morning.
It sounds like you just described my morning as well. I do the exact same thing. It's my favorite way to start the day, get you feeling right, ready to take on the day.
So what is this stuff? Well, how about this, Dylan? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're getting 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All the things. KJ, you're doing it too. We talk about it. Sometimes we're in a group text, just like, hey, here's a video of me taking my AG1. It's just something we do. We have fun here.
I also start my day, wake up, pound it. AG1's a huge part of every daily routine for me. I've got a whole week ahead where I'm the solo dad. Wife is on a business trip. I cannot afford to be low energy or without my nutrients throughout the day. AG1 makes sure that box is more than checked to start the day off.
Yep. Solo weekend, you got to make sure you really pound it because you know you're not going to be eating the right stuff. You know, it's a guy's weekend, so you got to get your vitamins, your adaptogens, you got to get it from AG1. And right now,
I see what you did.
Right now, Dylan, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. It's going to help with your focus, your recovery. It's going to help you sleep. And best thing about it, it doesn't taste bad. It tastes good. You're getting all that. So to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/bang. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/bang to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Let's talk golf. Let's talk ball golf. Let's talk Netflix. Of course, we're talking about Full Swing. The immersive documentary series follows a diverse group of professional golfers on and off the course during a relentless season of competition. Their words, not mine.
Quick takeaway review is it really well done. And I also really enjoyed that they're not just focusing on like top 10 type players, but a guy like Joel Damon who, I don't know, struggles to make the U.S. Open, has to qualify, and they take us along that ride. That's fucking cool. Really enjoyed it. Well done.
Yeah, so we watched the first 4. We're going to do the next 4 next week, I believe. And I will hold my thoughts till the end. KJ, I'm very interested in yours because I don't mean to pigeonhole you, but I will say you are the least interested in the game of golf of the 3.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, not judging by our group text where I was dialed into Rom's final few shots and few strokes, if you will, during yesterday's round at the Riviera, which is the Genesis Invitation. I don't know if like Tiger hosts it, beautiful course, even more picturesque clubhouse. Like everything about it was just
golf
thumbs
guy.
Up.
He's golf
Anyhow, that's like the 14 seconds I got of Nance talking yesterday. Okay. Going into it, having watched Drive to Survive, we're going into what, season 3 of Drive to Survive or 4? Do we remember?
I believe we've got 4 coming up, I believe.
Okay. So I've probably watched half of the episodes that are out there, but not knowing anything about F1 when it started, I can honestly say by the end of that experience, I felt reasonably informed about the sport and like generally could say, you know what, if I had the time, if I like wasn't so deep into the world of football and its off season, all that, like I could make space for it in my sports life and I can enjoy it. That's what that series did for me. Going into Full Swing, I tried to readapt that like mentality because for golf, like I can't say that everything is it's never an appointment viewing occasion for me. The majors, obviously I'll watch. I do a lot more preparation and reading into it and watching it because of the show than I do casually. And this is a long-winded way to get around to Full Swing because through the first 3.5, 4 episodes for me, there were some things I thought they did really, really well. And through like 2.5 episodes, there were things where I was like, I really not hated that they did certain things this way, but like, it made me feel like they were talking to me like I was a 2-year-old and approaching the narrative of the show in like a really half-assed way when like all of the content was tremendous and some of the other things that they were doing, I was just like, this is wasting. This is a waste.
Are you kind of talking about when Amanda Balionis was kind of explaining the simple parts of golf, like what a par is, for example,
Or the cut.
or the cut?
You've got to understand, these guys play their butts off for 2 days. It's a field of, let's say, 150 guys, and who doesn't make the cut on Friday night? You're not playing that weekend.
But
you don't get paid. You go home.
There,
That was said 3 episodes in a row, like
Okay.
by 3 different people.
if you're borrowing the script of Drive to Survive and you're assuming that you have a lot of viewers who maybe don't know about the game and maybe are trying to get to know the game, because that's why Americans picked up on F1 racing so much, is because of that show. Like, I didn't know much about F1 racing at all. Golf obviously is a game that more people know about globally. But I can understand why they would take the approach of, all right, some people may not know the very basic rules of golf. So let's, and to be fair, they spent all of, I don't know, a minute total explaining that kind of stuff. Like, it was a very brief little thing. So it didn't bother me at all.
It was, but then it came like they did it in 2 or 3 other episodes. And it made me feel like they probably prompted the interviewee, the person that they were interviewing, to like give that answer. And then they, during the editing phase, made the decision to like reset that 2 times in. And I'm like, okay, this is a little bit clunky. Like, somebody should have said, yep, we checked that box in the first one. We don't need it in episode 2 and 3. But either way, that didn't ruin it for me. The things that stood out to me is, her name is going to escape me. What is Brooks's wife?
Jenna
Sims. What is Ricky Fowler's wife's name? Because that keeps
Allison
jumping in my
Stokey.
head. Stokey. Okay. I don't know why
I'm
I was
not
getting
horny
this
at
all
all.
mixed up. No. But both of these golfers have wives that are very popular on social media. Okay. During the preview, like their little sizzler before you start the first episode, if there are 50 shots, you get 10 shots of Jenna Sims in the pool or diving into the pool, and or like random hots mixed into the content to make you think like 20% of this is going to be about the rage partying at Waste Management and Jenna Sims' swim routine. When like the content of the like shows, everybody's walking away talking about Joel Damon. I think that Ian Poulter's episode, like in his family side of things, was tremendous. Like, laid out the most reasonable, and I'm not trying to like cannibalize everything, but like the meat of the episodes was tremendous. Some of the things that they were using to push it and the framing of it really let me down. And my last complaint before I get into like all the goods, or, you know, we share the mic here a little, is the slate of interviewers that are like driving the content here. Like, we have David Foley, Tiger's former coach,
Sean Foley.
John Foley, one of his former coaches. And then we have 3 or 4 golf writers. And I don't remember that much outside like noise for Drive to Survive. We get a lot of the team managers or team own, like whatever they're called, general managers. And we get a lot of the drivers here. I get it. Golf is much more isolated. You only have one person to talk to, but like we could have had a lot more caddies on the course or on the tour or something. It just felt like you had too many people who were interested in like making the show a spectacle instead of like in Hard Knocks, like you're getting people that are in the room as opposed to the external people.
Yeah. No, I as somebody who watched like a season and a half of Drive to Survive, there are some stark differences. I think overall Drive to Survive is a much better product. And that's not necessarily to say Full Swing isn't good, but through 4 episodes, it's fine. I'm obviously I would watch it even if we weren't doing it for the show.
Agreed.
But, you know, I thought it was a weird move to lead with the JT and Spieth episode. I'm assuming they did it because those are like the faces of the tour. And I know the people who made this worked with the tour significantly in putting this together and getting the access. So maybe I don't know. Maybe that was calculated. I thought that was by far the weakest episode of the 4 we watched. Turns out Spieth is just not that interesting, and
No.
neither is Justin Thomas. And that's not fair. They made him look not interesting, even though I think JT is. And the most interesting thing he did was go to CVS in Tulsa and get some allergy meds, get a
Get his
neti
card
pump.
declined.
Yeah. An interesting. So episode 1, Spieth is in the car and he looks back and talks to his agent. Her name is Laura Moses. I was like, holy shit, I actually know her really well. I went to high school with her. She's a year after me. Dated a good friend of mine, Michael, for a long time. Had no idea that's what she did
Michael.
for a living. Had no idea.
What?
Yeah.
Do you have her number?
I do not have her number. It's been a while since we've spoken, but I just noticed that she followed me on Instagram, and I just now sent her a follow back request. So yeah, I know. I just, guys, this was news to me as I watched the show.
I feel like that's crazy. You did like that hasn't gotten around your like high school group chat that like Spieth's agent. But I guess I didn't know who Spieth's agent was. So
Yeah. I was talking to Brittany also. My wife is also from Austin. I was like, oh my gosh, this girl. And she was like, Laura? Yeah, I know her really well. I was like, where have I been the past like 15 years?
yeah, do you know what I do for a living?
God.
This is useful
Apparently,
intel.
Dylan doesn't like that. That
ridiculous.
also shows like Dylan's been not in the game so long. It's not what I want to say, but like
Yes.
when you're at the point where you're getting Instagram requests and you're just like, all right, whatever. You're not even paying attention to them, and none of them stand out. I feel like if randomly somebody who was somebody's agent followed me, I'd be like, I screenshot that Dan Goodwin from Fox 4 News followed me today for some reason at 7 a.m. just because I thought it was funny.
That's a big get for
I've-
you.
Yeah, that's huge.
You're a
It's
local
a
news
big get.
guru.
Watch the clout follow you now.
What do y'all think about the definitely not forced, definitely not staged? Jordan Spieth standing in front of the back of his car with the AT&T bag logo behind him, calling about his best man speech.
It's the next
With
thing
no
on my
content.
list. The next thing on my list. I mean, talk about not selling it. I mean, like, it was so forced. I didn't even notice the brand activation that was going down in it. But that doesn't shock me for somebody who really likes Jordan Spieth, but has been very critical of his content game, which is all sponsor based. This makes all the sense in the world. That was bad. Just a bad episode. Would have liked to have seen something. Jordan and his caddy, Michael Greller, have a very like well-known, unique relationship. Like on the course, talk a lot. Jordan will, back talk him from time to time. And it's very interesting. Could have used way more of that. Instead, we got, I don't know, PJ content, which, I love. Playing some cards, having some pops. That's cool. But like, I don't know. And I think the most compelling from that first episode, the stuff with Justin Thomas's dad, his coach, and PGA professional Mike Thomas, that was cool.
That was tremendous. And you know what? I have to take my words back in one spot because their discussion about hammer game or about, during their prep round in Tulsa, like in the past, y'all will talk about Wolf and it goes completely over my head, makes no sense, doesn't apply. And then they like throw out hammer game, okay, whatever. And they caption like what they mean by that. They throw up on the board, okay, $100 birdie, they'll double. Like that was probably very basic and not needed for y'all, but for an idiot like me who,
Yeah.
in general knows a little bit, that was tremendous. I appreciated that level of an elementary explanation. What was episode? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to talk about the Poulter episode real quick.
Yes.
Can you
Yes,
talk about
absolutely.
your hammer game first?
Yeah, sure. If I feel like I'm doing well on a hole and my opponent is maybe perhaps struggling, I'll hammer his ass.
Did Spieth hammer as the putt was like 2 feet from the hole?
Yeah, I don't think you can hammer mid-shot, right?
I'm wondering if that was some weird audio editing because we've always played it where like you can't do that because mainly because we don't want to lose money.
If
or
someone
$10.
hammers you have a choice of conceding the hole or accepting the hammer, which doubles the bet, basically. Anyway, Ian Poulter, a guy that I think he's like not well liked generally. I've been kind of a Poulter hater over the past.
Most American golf fans
Ryder
don't care
Cups,
for him because
he's
of that.
pretty insufferable during Ryder Cups because A, he's been obviously very successful at them. B, because he talks a lot of shit.
He's a
And
killer.
He's a loud dresser. He's got the little faux hawk going. He's annoying as hell. He is a killer. He is. He excels in that format. So I like him more after this episode. I think it kind of humanized him a bit. And man, for someone interesting, his thoughts on like how he approaches the game as like his job, like I'm in this to make money, which is obviously why he chose to go the live route. But lives very lavishly, obviously. 30 million in career earnings. Of course, he got endorsement money on top of that. His house in UK was sick. Flying Pry over there with his family. It was interesting, and that shot of him in his closet with like a million different polos to choose from, and of course that drawer full of his loud pants that he was sorting through. I don't know. I kind of enjoyed that one, even though I don't really like him that much. It was interesting.
I appreciated that he was self-aware and
Yeah.
not knowing really anything beyond just the name. Probably have seen him in passing. You know, I've admitted in the past, like not like I'm not big Ryder Cup guy, but I couldn't tell you anything about Ian Poulter's history in the Ryder Cup at all prior to this episode. He acknowledged that American fans might not like him. He acknowledged that like he eggs on the crowd. And I thought they set up that history in a small little capsule very, very well. And by the end of it, like you got his son's perspective, like his son acknowledging like, hey, you know, who knows what this is going to look like years down the line, but he's deciding for the people in his household. Like that was, I thought, a really well done, maybe not the most compelling episode, but as far as the live tour conversation that will carry on throughout the season, really, really well done. I also think that they like not undersold, but they really picked some bad angles on some random, or not random, but like his final shots at Dell match play did not sell you on like wanting to go to that course. I was like partially watching to see if any of you would pop up in the background, and it wasn't the best.
For me, the highlight, one of the biggest highlights of the first four has obviously been the juxtaposition of Brooks Koepka and Scotty Scheffler last season.
Oh my God.
You've got one guy who's just taking the tour by fire. He's just winning.
Yeah, they caught Scheffler during his like really, really hot streak.
And
Best
Brooks,
4 months of his career, of his life, period. Like he's not that old, but like the timing of them catching this year for golf, but also like those months for Scotty Scheffler, like how tremendous is it if you're that guy that they caught you when you're at the absolute peak of your entire life? Like they could have done that for Brooks 3 years ago, and who knows how he would feel about him. Instead, like he's rocking certain media company sweaters, and we're just like, okay, well, there's that guy.
That's a great point. Like I tried to go into this like with all these guys like objectively, with Brooks, who we've all been critical of at some point in the last 5 years. And like, I wonder when he was at his highest, if I would have liked him more or less, if we had behind the scenes access. Now, you know, a lot of the access we got on this was him and his wife hanging out at their dope house, swimming, him just absolutely being in a bad place with his game, which is, I did feel sorry for him watching that, because it's like somebody who's been to the top of the mountain, lost it, and like, you know, he seems like a very confident guy when he's out on the course, no matter what. And like that seemed like a dude. It's like, dude, are you ever going to get it back? And I'm sure a lot of that played into why he's now he took that Saudi bag, and he is no longer on the tour.
I will outright say I don't know what it would have done for me if I watched this between 17 and 19, but it definitely made me like him more for two reasons. Like I appreciated I think Jenna Sims, albeit very like vain, but I think she was being very genuine and like trying to express she's a very optimistic person, that she doesn't really know how to manage when he is so down or in this bad spot. And you know, it's not like she's, you know, a therapist or had all the time in the world to like unwrap how she wanted to present it. But like, I thought she was being genuine and like, hey, it's going to be okay. But like, that's not a fair discussion to have or not just fair, but like, there's no easy way to have that discussion. I think couples have that kind of talk all the time.
She's very
and
alpha.
then lastly, yeah, very much so. Lastly, for him, the amount that he seemed to like it may have been one of those where like with Jordan Spieth when he did the commercial, he was like, "Hey, I don't know anything about acting. You tell me how to do this, and I'll follow the instructions to the best of my ability." I wonder how much of that was involved with Brooks, because he set up the conversation with his mom of like, "Hey, this is a big deal, and this is this. Scotty Scheffler didn't have anything in his mind," and like that was all playing into the producer's like goal of offsetting the two of them at that time. I don't think he or his mom brought up Scotty specifically in that moment in that discussion. Like you could see Jenna Sims was already mic'd up. His mom was already mic'd up. Like it wasn't, "Hey, we're just going to follow you around. You live your day." Like they sat down to have that discussion. And so there were a lot of things that were staged, but at the same time, the guy was being very vulnerable, very vocal about, "Hey, I'm just in my head too much," and like acknowledging it.
Yeah.
I thought that was like really good content.
On
'Cause
that
you don't
note-
see that from people like that.
On that note, like when they were talking about Scotty to Brooks, I guess after he won the Masters, Brooks had a comment like, "I guarantee if you ask that guy what he's thinking right now, when he's out there, is nothing. He's not thinking of anything because he's just dialed." And that's when you start getting into trouble, when you're start thinking, "Oh, the P-man's looking in."
Oh.
Sorry, I don't know if he needed something.
I also really appreciated how this show like points out that this is a stressful way to make a living. Like, yes, these guys can make a lot of money doing this. And when you're playing well, the money obviously follows with endorsement deals, and then obviously making cuts, you're getting paid. But it's also a rare career where you can go to work and not make money. Like you miss a cut, you don't get paid. And not only that, you're an independent contractor. So you might pay 20, 30 grand to like fly out, stay somewhere, you got to put your caddy up and maybe your family travels with you. That's not cheap. And so if you're not actually playing well, your earnings take a hit big time. And to be like, a wife of one of these guys who might be struggling, like that whole thing, it's interesting to see that part of it. Even like, Brooks, who's obviously set financially speaking, but he's like, "I've been to the mountaintop and now I'm like struggling to, make cuts, and it's frustrating." And that part of it was kind of, and Drive to Survive kind of did the same thing about, these teams that are not doing well. Like a lot of financial stress comes along with that. And of course these drivers, they get demoted. So it's cool. It's cool to see. I mean, that's stressful, man.
Yeah, I think two things with Brooks. Yeah, as much as I wanted to, like, I did feel bad for him. I was like, man, I kind of feel bad. Like I like him a little bit more. And then he hits you with the when he's at 16 at the Waste Management. He makes that little comment like, almost feels like a real sport. Like when he's in his his post round press conference, he has these little digs at the game of golf that they bother me maybe more than they should. It's like he is so insecure about being a good golfer. Like you saw when he was playing in the Pro-Am with Adam Thielen, where he's, really gassing up how good of a baseball player he was. He's like, "Man, I wish I would have stuck with baseball." It's like, dude, just F off, man. I don't know why it bothers me so much. Maybe it's because I'm a guy who would love to just break 80 on a consistent basis. But like, it's like, dude, show a little bit of pride in what you do.
Yeah.
That stood out to me as well, because he also tried to point out the whole, I wasn't as good as these other guys, and I went and I outworked them. I don't know how accurate that is, but I do know that, he had to go play the European tour. He was on the Corn Ferry tour for a little while. Like his journey was not as linear as the guys in the first episodes.
No.
But later, like you said, he then like always is like, how are you both working your butt off at this and acknowledging how difficult it is? But then you try to play this role of like, I shouldn't even think of this game. Like.
Yeah, I have this on here. I was curious if y'all got the vibe. I don't know what his relationship with other guys is, but like when they were doing that intro and kind of showing, and he said, "I'm not a Jordan Spieth. I'm not a Justin Thomas, one of these guys that was like a heralded amateur player, is coming up through the JPGA ranks or something." Does he resent them? Like, and how much, you know what I mean? Cause it's like, it's weird, man. It's almost like, I don't know what Brooks like grew up with as far as like, family money or playing country clubs, but like Justin Thomas, his dad is a PGA professional. Like he's probably had been working on his golf swing since he was 3. And Jordan Spieth, he went to Dallas Jesuit and played. They were members at, I think, Brookhaven and Dallas, right? So they're both country club kids. And I'm wondering how much Brooks really does not like these guys.
Do you think it's because like Spieth was at school like with Manuel and Sam Acho? Like, do you think that plays into it all? I don't even think it went to Jesuit. I think it went to like Episcopal. I'm just trying to stretch, take shots here.
Wow, that is the biggest reach to take a shot at an Acho brother.
I think
I guess I'd be better off saying like at Texas at the same time than I would be in high school.
That's what I thought you were going.
I think he thinks of himself as like a real outlier, like an outcast in the game.
One thing that I want to see from this show is I think they do a good job of pointing out, like they didn't even highlight that Zalatoris was like there in the house with Scotty Scheffler. I think they kind of did briefly, but like that should have been emphasized. Like you've got 4 golfers in the DFW area and they're very tight knit. Brooks, on the other hand, lives in Jupiter. I wouldn't mind an overview map of like South Florida of being like, yeah, Brooks is kind of a loner, but he's also 2 doors down from Tiger, who's 2 doors down from,
JT.
Jason Day or whatever. Like,
yeah,
I want to know how big of a network there is there physically, even if he's not like personally tight with them.
That's a great point. I wanted more of that. Like I think, and we've got 4 more episodes, and maybe they'll have something like this. But that is interesting. How like when these guys rent houses, there's a bunch of them are staying together, and they may have some family, they may not. And I guess a guy like Zalatoris through 4 episodes hasn't really been in it outside of his losing the playoff to JT. But it's like, man, if you're a player and like they're not going to ask that much from you to be in this, why wouldn't you agree to do something? Like maybe their stuff got left on the cutting room floor, but it's like, dude, this seems like a really easy way, and they're not going to make you look bad. And I'm sure they've got plenty of stuff that could make people look bad, but they haven't put it in. So I don't know. That was disappointing to me because I did want to see more of that. I like to know who's behind the scenes actually friends. That's like we were talking about the All-Star game earlier. I was only watching to see how Luka and Kyrie interacted and who Luka's interacting with from the other teams. And I think that's cool. And they haven't really showed much of that. Like not a news breaker that JT and Jordan are really good friends. Like we've been known
when
that.
They like established like they've known each other since teenagers. Like I think it's cool to note, but like you said, what are the other? I guess throwing Ricky Fowler in there to say like he is his relationship with them. I guess I didn't know as well. Like I knew he was friends with a lot of people on tour. Who was the guy? And maybe it was during a preview. They really butchered presenting what do they call it? The social media bonus from PGA. Like they started talking about it. I loved that conversation, but they never gave the viewer like a clear understanding. The PGA is now going to be paying $20 million a year.
Oh, they will.
I
bet they will.
What's his face?
Max Homa?
No, the guy with the long hair.
Pat Perez.
Pat Perez was the one talking.
They were talking Instagram followers.
He was talking Instagram
Shout
followers,
out
and I think that was the context of that conversation.
Shout out
talking about the pit bonus stuff.
Shout out to him for knowing like how many followers the different guys had.
Well, he said he was looking the night before.
I love that. That was good. That's the kind of stuff I like. And people forget that at a previous company, Dylan and Will and I had an opportunity to go play a pro-am with him. But it just fell through. Didn't think there'd be any benefit in that. And we're not mad about it at all. We're totally over it.
Yeah, that wasn't a cool opportunity for us or anything.
No, I wouldn't have grown the show.
Which was the publication? Was it Golf Digest who did the big feature on Jupiter, Florida?
Yes.
That was so interesting.
Yeah.
And how it's like it's a community, like KJ, you kind of mentioned it, where like so many of these guys live and they play golf together all the time. Then you'll see them at, catching dinner at the club, and it's like it's badass.
Boys just mobbing it out.
I would like to see more of that. Yeah.
I'll have to go look that up because I do
really
wonder like what other infrastructure then pops up. Like, do you then have like a Titleist physical location there, and their like whatever, all of the equipment guys, like Do you get caddies who flock there? I want to know like what else follows, because obviously the weather establishes it, the taxes as well, I'm sure. But like, and then what else grows from there? Real quick on the Pat Perez conversation, was it Ian Poulter he was talking to? Because somebody acted like, oh, I have no idea how many
I
followers.
think it was DJ and Poulter.
I think Poulter was there.
Okay.
Poulter, notable big Twitter follower guy. So he was talking, and he later like referenced his following too when talking about going
And
to
then
live.
they bring up Ricky, and they're like, but he never posts. And everybody was aware that Ricky Fowler never posted.
Oh yeah.
And
No,
I was
I mean,
like, wait a minute. Somebody a second ago said they had no idea how many followers, but everybody then knew the context of like, I've been following Ricky for months and I never see anything.
same with Jordan. Only post sponsored
And
stuff.
I was hoping we would get a Jordan throw in there too, because I figured that would have been our best validation.
Yeah. Final episode that we watched,
Yes.
the Joel Damon episode called Imposter Syndrome. I don't know if this was the best. If it wasn't the best, it was the second best of the four, but it was the most compelling because it was something we have not seen at all. Like we kind of got Brooks playing bad, but like Brooks is at such a higher level than Joel Damon, like a guy who struggles to maintain his tour card. And I thought the US Open qualifier stuff was probably maybe the best bit that
Awesome.
they did.
I fucking loved it.
Because I knew that, but I hadn't thought about it. I was like, oh, damn. I forgot that he had to go qualify. And a lot of those guys do.
Yeah. Yeah. He had to shoot the 500 on the second 18 or whatever it was. And he went in the clubhouse. And of course, he was taking a break and had a couple of White Claws. And they're like, is this against the rules? We're not sure. We're going to do it anyway. And it was very entertaining and very, like you said, it was compelling, and it made me like absolutely pull for the guy. I mean, I've known about him for a while, but I don't really like follow him closely, or I'm pretty indifferent about him. This made me like actually want to pull for the guy.
Yeah, he's big in the no laying up universe. Like, and he just seems like a fun guy. I think he was one of the guys who did the Butler pitch and putt thing.
Yeah.
And you could tell then that he was like a cool guy who gets after it a little bit. I do relate, man, to somebody who just when he gets on the golf course has just the worst attitude ever. It was really funny, again, with the juxtaposition between him talking about himself versus Max Homa, his friend, like talking about him like, dude, you have all the game in the world. It's just a matter of like confidence.
Yeah.
And his caddy too. Dude, his relationship with his caddy was really cool.
Yeah.
See, that's what I kind of wanted more of from Greller and Spieth. But I mean, we got it with Damon and his caddy, and that was a cool story. KJ, thoughts?
I think anybody that we get a focus on, I need their caddy to have some part of the conversation, even if it's just while on course. Like we got more than that with not DJ. Why am I completely
Brooks.
blank? JT. With his caddy the day of, but like I think that's a necessary component. If we're going to hear from a driver and Drive for Survive, not to bring it back to that or whatever, we hear from the manager. Like I think that duo is important. Or I guess we would hear from driver A and driver B in that show. I think having the caddy, even if it's a nothing conversation, I think that's a good addition. Would you have rather seen this episode or Anthony Kim?
Oh, dude, an entire Netflix series on the last 12 years of Anthony Kim's life is something I would pay money for.
At least a 30 for 30 on his career and the decision he had to make.
I feel like a lot of live talk rumors were being thrown around whenever all these offers were getting tossed out. Like that's not what we're seeing enough of because of the PGA's influence here. There's this whole missing dialogue. Like we're talking about live. We know there's going to be episodes on it coming, but the timeline that they're following are the tournaments. And if we remember our conversations last year, like you were getting rumors of 4 or 5 guys being offered. And then you see some of the press conferences, and the denials or whatever. We're seeing some of that, but like I need a list of, hey, it's March 4th. These 5 have accepted. These 4
timeline.
Like I need that. If you're going to follow the calendar and tell me every 5 seconds what city I'm in big block letters, like throw some of that on the screen too, because I think that is very important with how like stressful the year was.
Yeah, for sure. And because they're not doing it in chronological order. So it's like that would be That would be very helpful. Do you think Poulter and Graham McDowell and DJ and those guys handled that first live press conference well?
I love those questions, man.
I mean, just like the most
nothing-
loaded questions you could write up.
You can't give a right answer.
You guys like dictators? You guys in on killing journalists? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll let you take this one, Pulse.
Yeah, the bombings in Yemen. Any comments on that? Like, no, I don't really know what
I'm just here to
say.
play golf, man.
I do think that those questions are somewhat in bounds, though. I mean,
More, yeah.
I like
absolutely.
that they're put on the spot like that.
I do too, and I also like that DJ laughed, which is just like he's so shocked. He's like, "What do you want me to say?
Yeah,
You really think you're
Which is
gonna
the only right answer.
you're gonna get the answer out of me? Like I'm gonna have some profound geopolitical response to this? Like, oh man, that was funny. The live stuff was good.
They had a little Phil piece in there too, where he was like, "Yeah, I mean, we're all against the violation of the human rights stuff." Like, I would hope you'd say that, Phil. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that for all of us.
After his initial screw up, and they acknowledged like that he made very controversial comments.
There's some scary motherfuckers, I believe was his quote. Off the record is what I was told, though. So shout out Alan Shipnuck. Okay, go ahead. I want y'all to rank them. Favorites, or just give me your favorite episode and your least favorite. Dylan.
Favorite was probably Damon. It was between that and Poulter, but I'm gonna say Damon.
Least favorite.
If you
JT Spieth. They've been overexposed like for years already. Like we know about them, you know?
Yes.
I wonder if how much of that's because we're in Texas, but I will say, if you remove the walk from getting Froyo and then throwing random street signs in for Scotty Scheffler and his wife, if you remove that, I might put the Brooks episode atop my list because I thought it changed my perspective of a player unlike any of the others. And I didn't see all of the Damon episodes, so I've got to add that caveat. And then lowest ranked, everything outside of the conversations between JT and his dad in that first episode. I was happy that it existed. It should not have been their pilot app.
Agree. Unanimous that was the worst. I'm gonna go with the Joel Damon. Now I've talked myself into it. It's between that and Brooks, but it's, you know what though? I liked it that coming out of the gate, the bar was very low and they had two relatively uninteresting people. And then the more it went on, Brooks, very interesting. Scotty, a little bit. And then Poulter, the family stuff, very interesting. And Joel Damon, like the most. Just the psyche of that dude. So that's fun. We're going to watch the next 4 and do the rest, finish it out next week. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And on that note,
Is it time?
it's time to party. It's the time in this podcast where we will party and talk sports at the intersection of party and sports. Boys, did you see the new college football rule proposals?
I did.
Does any of this move the needle? And if you haven't seen it,
I-
prohibiting consecutive timeouts, i.e., icing kicks, no on-time down at the end of first quarter and third quarter. Clock runs after a first down except inside of 2 minutes and a half. And last, clocks run on incompletions once the ball is spotted.
I don't like the idea of trying to speed up college football games, which 2 of these are directly for that reason.
Because they can't get here soon enough, or what?
Because it's the greatest spectacle in sports, in my opinion.
KJ, what say you?
I don't need quicker games.
4.5 hour, 5 hour games sometimes is a little bit much.
What are you talking about? They're never 4.5, 5 hours. They'll have to go to 12 overtimes.
I bet we can find some Big 12 games between like Texas Tech and Baylor that would probably creep on like 420, and it was like 41-28 or something stupid. I think avoiding that at all costs is good, but again, I agree. I'm not out, like, it's not my top priority to cut that back by 30 minutes. I think the national championship, which was like shockingly 3.5 hours because it was such a beatdown, like I enjoyed that experience a lot less. And I think I leave the NFL experience when it's like a tight 3:15 a lot less enthused than I am when it's like 3:30 to 4 hours. But I also don't care for like coming up with every single way to like fix the length of the game all at once. Like get rid of the back-to-back timeouts when you're icing a kick. Nobody needs that. Everything else, like leave it alone.
No untimed down at end of quarters 1 and 3. What is that even talking about?
You have a defensive penalty at the end of the first quarter, and instead of them just going into the second quarter and starting the clock in the next play or whatever, you would have a play start at first quarter, 0 seconds on the clock, like you would at the end of the game or at the end of the half. That I don't care about as much. Like, I don't think that's going to have a big impact if you call it the beginning of the second quarter versus an untimed down. It just adds one play.
Clock runs on incompletions once ball is spotted.
I don't like that.
Does that eliminate spiking?
Great question.
That's whatever.
We'll see about that. I don't know. It ultimately boils down to when does any of this lead to less commercials? The answer is usually no in things like this. And there's way too many commercials in all football games, college and NFL. And I don't know if this is going to change it, but whatever.
Maybe cut down on that length of
I
halftime. fucking hate it.
Got to get the bands out
20
there.
freaking minutes.
You got to get the bands out there, dude. Now to Riviera, which KJ touched on earlier. John Rahm, still really good.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods, the big cat, played 4 rounds of golf in a row. How about that?
Made the cut.
Made the cut. Looked phenomenal off the tee. Hitting that power fade. 180 ball speed. You love to see it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't watch him now without just watching his face after every shot, after him, getting the ball out of the hole, after everything, just to see like how much is he grimacing.
The constant limping.
Yeah.
It's tough, man.
He's got like a new brace that he's putting on, a wrap brace, and I don't know how much that's actually doing, but it's good to see him out there. It's fun. KJ, you're smiling.
It's comical to think of like the most lauded player in a sport, and we saw this with Brady to a certain extent. Like you expected this person to like be able to do anything in a sport, and now they're kind of reduced to like, hey, are you okay? Like you're like overly like not you personally, royal you, like the viewers are, hey Tiger, are you okay? How's the ankle? You gonna be able to walk in a couple days? You had a good day today. How are you doing? Like we're overly checking in on them because we want so much more. So it's just kind of a weird situation. It's like we want him to keep playing. We don't want him to hang it up.
It's insanely
we want to
weird.
See him at the majors.
It's insanely weird because he still has the game. It's just a matter of like, can he walk 4 days in a row? And the answer was he was great on Thursday, not great on Friday when he had to go out early in the morning. So
better on Saturday.
Yeah. Good weekend. Played well yesterday. And that's it.
He should just have less bogeys and he'd be all right.
I would simply have less bogeys, make more putts. That's a thing we've said. Dylan, why don't you run it back for us?
Yeah, we got a short one this week. Run it back, of course, the segment during which we talk about what we already talked about. Come around the people cave, you will get clapped. We don't actually have an armed guard.
Don't tell people
I should clarify that.
Don't tell people.
Dave's neighbor calls it ball golf unironically. McClung, real lunch pail guy who was first on the court and the last one to leave. And finally, buy stock in KJ's clout, as he was recently followed by a local news reporter.
That's really good. A local news reporter in your current community or your previous one?
Previous one, and he's like on the C team of that.
Let's go.
He's like he's a Saturday afternoon anchor.
That concludes Running Back.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back next Monday with the next 4 in full swing, plus much, much more. Until then, we will see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I want my chips with the dip. That's all I know. I don't want my chips plain. I want my chips with the dip. So bring them dips.
When my team wins a big game, it's good.